Hi, so good evening, everybody. My name is Ngone Job, and today is August 10th, 2022, and we are doing the Northwest Gateway Sustainable Community Implementation Meeting. So for the agenda today, just in a bit, we'll go into the introductions. We have two new members. I'll give you an update on the cans and benches. And we have Shavon from Diversified who's going to update you on the FY23 grant. And then I'll let the different subcommittees report on their task. And finally, we're going to talk about next meetings. So just to have an idea of who's here, I will call name. If you're here, just unmute and say hi. Linda Keefe.
Hi.
Hi, Linda. Linda is our new member from the One God, One Thought Center for Better Living. Linda, would you like to introduce yourself to the team?
Yes. Can they hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Linda Keith, and I'm from One God, One Thought Center for Better Living. I'm the president of the board of directors, and under the leadership of Reverend Burnett Lee Jones, and we're kind of filling in for her because she is not able to kind of come in. So we're going to come in and hope we can get some updates and catch up with everybody. So thank you for having us here. And I'm looking forward to an exciting journey.
Thank you, Linda. We're looking forward to working with you as well. And thank you for your commitment. And then we also have Dawn Thompson, who's also with the One God, One Thought Center for Better Living. Dawn? Let me see. Dawn, do you need help unmuting yourself? There you are. Let me see if I can do it. So Dawn is also our newest member. I think either she's having issue unmuting, but don't feel free to jump in anytime. Shirley Supik?
Hi, how are you? I'm Shirley Supik. I'm the president of the Liberty Road Community Council and the vice president of Picasco, which is a senior organization, and the co-owner of the Emmerich Pierpont Safe House.
Thank you, Shirley. Ms. Devon Parks?
Hi, I'm Devon Parks, president of the Stony Brook Community Council Association in Randallstown. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Nice to have you. And Stephanie Hobman? Okay, then I have Cynthia Gilliam. India Artist?
Hey there, India, with Secretary for Villanova Community Association.
Hey there. Do we have Sheila Lewis?
No, Sheila's not here.
Okay. Thank you. Michelle McCallum?
Hi, I'm Michelle McCallum. I'm a member of the Old Mill Estates Community Association, past president, and I'm also on the Baltimore County Commission on Arts and Sciences, and not related to this, but I'm Director of Community Education for CCBC.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Albert Barnes? Mr. Aaron Plymouth?
Good evening, all. I'm Aaron Plymouth, chairperson of the Combined Communities Advocacy Council of Greater Randallstown Incorporated, as well as president emeritus of the Stevenswood Improvement Association. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Carla Nelson, Chambers?
Hi, I'm president of Hernwood Heights Community Association here in Randallstown, and also a board member of Baltimore County Economic Development Advisory Board for the county, and a past member of the Baltimore County Procurement Commission. Yeah, okay, that's it.
Thank you, Carla. Then I have Gloria Cooper Blue. Helen Thomas. Grace Snowden.
Hi, I'm Grace Snowden.
Hi, Grace. Marilyn Evans. Jamelia Blount. Danielle Smith.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Winky Smith. I am currently representing right now on the Center Committee District 10, also a member of the 10th District Club, also the past National Coalition Chair Black Women for Positive Change, past HOA President of Patapsco Ridge Association, and the past Political Action Chair representing a national organization, Delta Sigma Theta, for 6 years.
Great, thank you, Danielle. And I see Linda just joined the meeting. Linda Dorsey Walker. Hi, Linda. Are you trying to? I think you are unmuted. You are muted. We'll come back to Linda. Sharon Hendricks.
Good evening, everyone. Sharon Hendricks, excuse me, Assistant Vice President of Patient Experience at Northwest Hospital in Randallstown.
Thank you. And I think Dawn just joined the meeting. Dawn Thompson. Dawn is our newest member. Would you like to introduce yourself? All right. You can always put it in the chat. Okay, so what's next? I want to update you on the cans and benches. So for the newest members, or just as a reminder, so we have $250,000 that we received from the county.
Excuse me, Gane, before
Yes?
before you start, can we get a list of all of the members of the committee with their affiliations? It's hard to see everyone here the way it's laid out. Some people are never seen. So I know we do introductions each time, but it's hard to associate names with communities when you're not looking at it.
Sure. Sure. I thought that I had sent that in the past, but I will make sure that I email it to you tomorrow. And it's also on the website. We have a section about the team members and their affiliation on the website. But I will send you that list tomorrow.
Is that with the new members on the website?
We did add the new members, yes.
Okay.
The 2 new members.
Okay.
All right, so as I was saying, we have $250,000 that we received from the county. We are in the process of replacing all the trash cans on Liberty Road, as well as the benches. So we did have already identified those locations and have already sent it out for a quote. And the vendor that we are going with is called Ecovision Environment for the trash cans. So the quote that we have for the cans is $846 each can. The cans are going to be 32 gallons. They're going to have liners, and the liners are going to be actually 40 gallons. So the quote for each of the liners are $100. And we have 64 cans on Liberty Road that we would like to replace. And the total of those 64 cans is going to be $60,544. So this is just for ordering the trash cans. Then we have to hire a contractor who's going to be actually removing the trash cans, the old trash cans, and replacing them. And I see that Miss Linda has her hand raised.
Yes.
Miss Linda, yes?
Yeah, the reason I have my hand raised at this point is because, my work group is transportation. And since the last meeting, I had a chance to speak with folks that head up MDOT and also the Circulator Loop program. And MDOT has a capital budget that includes replacing benches and trash cans that are at bus stops. So are we including replacing the cans that they are responsible for? because they already have that in their budget. And when I told them that we were talking about replacing some benches and replacing some trash cans, they said, "Oh, are these county trash cans? Because the ones that are near bus stops are our trash cans, and we have it in our budget to replace them."
Why? So if it's in a shelter, yeah. If the
Or
trash
near
can
a
is
shelter,
included. I'm sorry?
near a bench or near a shelter.
Okay,
That's
because
their trash can.
my understanding was if it's near a shelter or inside of a shelter, it's yes, it's MDOT. If it's outside, it's the county. The 64 cans is everything on Liberty Road. So if you would like to revise the list, and exclude anything that is MDOT, meaning anything that's near a shelter, we could do that. I don't know, even though they have capital budget, I don't know when they will be able to replace those cans.
Sure, but of course, it would save us some money to be able to use it for some other things, because what you're talking about are pretty high price items. And as they said, they do bulk purchasing that allows the circulator and the loop and countywide and other districts around us to save money because they are buying as the state of Maryland. So,
Okay.
so if we can save money, say let's say half of what we're talking about, it's a good thing, especially since they're also talking about replacing or adding additional kiosks if we want them.
I thought that when we had the meeting early on and MDOT was a part of that meeting, they mentioned that there were certain areas that were their property, and the gentleman who was from the county said they weren't touching what was the state's property. They were only going to touch what was county. My understanding, someone in planning, correct me if I'm wrong, knew what was ours versus what was the state. And we weren't replacing the state's cans or benches.
I don't think, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was going to say the person I spoke with is in charge. She's Liz Gordon. And she said that indeed some of those trash cans are their trash cans. So we might want to go back and actually get a list of where they're located. And then I'd be willing to drive the 8.5 miles up and down and identify ones that are located near kiosk or, the shelters or benches, so that we don't have to waste that money. We can use them on planters or something else that's on our list.
So the trash cans that we have identified are the ones that the county is actually responsible for emptying. So I'm assuming if they are responsible for emptying it, it's not MDOT. So these 64 trash cans are actually have been shared with the Department of Solid Waste Management, who are responsible for emptying it. Because I don't know if you remember, if that was the reason why we couldn't add any new locations, because it wasn't in the budget for them to empty those trash cans.
Right, but she said that they don't empty the trash cans. They put the trash cans there. They're not responsible for emptying them. So when you say those are the trash cans that the county empties, the county would be emptying all of them.
I see. Okay, well, I will share the list with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you could, maybe they should let us know which ones.
Sure, I'll ask her which of those, because she actually brought it up.
Yeah.
As we were talking, I said, well, what about this bus shelter or this bench? And she was able to actually bring them up on the screen live while we were talking.
Okay. I have the spreadsheet and I will share that with you tomorrow.
Okay.
So let's say that we have 64 trash cans. Actually, the removal and the installation also costs money. And we have two quotes, one from Hayes Construction, which is going to be $16,696. And then we have another contract with another quote with Total Contracting for $11,592. So I just wanted to put it out here for everybody to see. And I'm sure if you have to pick one, I'm sure it will be the cheapest.
But that would depend on the terms of the contract.
And then what are you looking for?
I don't know. I would want to see the terms of the contract before I go with a cheaper contractor.
They will be the same, which will be removing all of the trash cans, installing all the trash cans. I think it's pretty much all they're doing here.
And that's a pretty significant difference. So
There is a significant difference. I could email you both quotes with the terms of the contracts.
Can you send that to me also, or are you sending it to everyone?
I'm gonna send it to everyone.
Okay, because I want to share that with the other lady because she, again, they get a cheaper rate because they're doing things bulk.
Okay, because it has to be someone who is in the master database for Baltimore County. Otherwise, we have to go through the process of bidding, which takes long. But these two contractors are already in the master database. And then I don't know if you remember the terms that we have with Ecovision is that we put 50% down now, but then they're not going to produce and deliver the can until May of 2024. And that was to just try to lock the price now because we don't know how much these cans are going to cost next year. And I believe everybody was agreed with these terms. Okay. I'll move on to the benches. So right now, if we take away trash cans, we take away installation, and we're considering the 64 trash cans, we will have $170,000 left out of the 250. We still have to determine locations for the benches, and once I have a number, then I'll go through the process of getting a quote for the benches. So I wanted to let you know, but I think one of the tasks for next meeting or the next two meetings will be for one of the committee to determine the locations and the quantity for the trash cans. Yes, Miss Linda?
Yeah, I was going to say, she said, give her a list of names of additional places where we feel benches and stops are needed.
Who's she? The lady from MDOT?
In charge of MDOT. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so now I would like to introduce Shavon Jackson. She is the president of Diversified Housing Development. Last time around, she wasn't able to, last meeting, I want to say she wasn't able to make it. But we talked about the BURNI, which is the Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiative grant that we were trying to apply for. So this is a state grant, and at this time, I would like to introduce her to update us on where that grant is.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Shavon Jackson. I'm the Executive Director of Diversified Housing Development. Diversified is a not-for-profit homeownership counseling agency, and we provide first-time homebuyer workshops as well as foreclosure prevention counseling. We do weatherization assistance, and we also do housing rehab and development. The project that Gane is talking about is something that would be new for Diversified. It is a rehab loan program, but it would actually be a forgivable loan. As I sat and I talked with the people at the state, I tried to figure out what would be the best possible pilot program to put forward for the area. So what we applied for was $200,000 that would be with a maximum of $10,000 that could go towards housing rehab. That $10,000 would be what's called a forgivable loan. So as long as the homeowner stayed in the house for 5 years, the $10,000 would be forgiven. The applications for this were due on July the 13th, I believe. Having received Bernie funds in the past, I don't think we will hear back until probably November, possibly December, as to whether or not we are awarded the funds. And then I kind of have been thinking it through, and also with the new administration, it may take a little bit longer just for if we are awarded funds, trying to think positive. It may take a little bit longer because there will be a new administration just to get the contracts and everything signed. But yeah, the program, and actually what the program could be used for, I wrote it so that it's very flexible. It could be used for any type of rehab projects that a homeowner would need, be it inside or outside of their property. Of course, they would have to use licensed contractors. That would be one of the requirements, and that's also, I believe, one of state requirements as well. I'm trying to think of whether or not there is, what am I leaving out, or if there are any questions for me about.
I
Is
have a
it based on
few
income?
questions. Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I think one of the questions I did have was, how are you getting the word out to the community? Because often people don't know about these various programs. And I think someone else was asking also about the criteria and income limits.
Sure. With getting the word out, I believe that was the purpose, Donna, as we spoke before, of this group, was to help us to get the word out in the community. We have been awarded Bernie funds in the past with our weatherization program, and we have always just kind of been like out doing a lot of outreach in the community and just like going out in the community. We had a target area with our last program, which was in the Flannery Lane community. So myself and staff kind of canvassed the community to let people know about the program, about the weatherization program that was there. That was going to be one of the methods that we use for this particular program as well. But as I was talking to Gane, she also, said that we could also, bring it to the group and have the group help to get the word out about the program.
I may suggest that you go through the county and get the list of community associations and
Sure.
make sure you get the word out to them so that they can get it out to the residents in their communities.
Yes.
And then again, what's the criteria? Usually with those grants from DHCD, there's an income criteria. Is it one on this one?
On this one, the income criteria was written at 85% of area median income. So what that would be is for roughly for a household one, and that number has gone up, and I don't think I have it right in front of me, but for a household, that would be for a household two, that would be about 72,000. For a household three, that would be like, I think, 83,000. So that's where the income guidelines are right now for this particular program. We kind of, with doing the state grants and having written them before, in order for me to try to make this a forgivable grant, I had to make sure that the income limits were something that I felt like they would agree to. And generally 80 to 85% of area median income is usually something that is doable with the state. So I just wanted to try to make the application as strong as possible as a pilot, and then hopefully we get the funding and then we can build on it and move from there. But my goal was to try to at least get them to approve it. So
I think
Hi, this is Danielle Winky Smith. How are you?
Hi,
So,
Danielle.
first of all, say thank you, Ms. Jackson, for what you're doing. And I think I did use your services before for one of my nieces, and she was able to purchase a home. So thank you very much for that. I same as two other young ladies who had asked. I'm concerned about the messaging. How could we get it? Because I'm all about meeting people where they are and informing and educating individuals. So as most of us are. So as far as different organizations, there are so many different organizations that could spread this information, as well as the churches, and like someone else mentioned before, the HOA communities. So if that is a way that we can kind of get lists to you, or if there's a way to bring up a
Yes.
be it a county, I'm not sure, Nicole, then that would be a great way so that people can utilize this great opportunity. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be wonderful. If we could get that information, and that's my goal. I don't like to write grants and then not be able to spend the money, because that's the worst thing in the world, is to have to go back to the state and say, oh, we couldn't, spend it or what have you. So if we are funded, then we're going to push really hard to get every dime spent, so that we can go back and ask for additional funding. So, yeah, definitely. If I could get the all of the community associations, I can do outreach and have my staff to do outreach. If we're funded, I'm hopeful. I feel really optimistic. I feel good about it. So I'm hoping that we are awarded this grant.
Linda, I think you have your hand
Yeah,
raised.
I was going to ask, is this a separate pot of grant than the one that we've heard Delegate Brooks talk about and also Delegate Jalisi talk about? Because this sounds like the identical criteria that was for a pot of money that they started talking about in the last 2 years. And I know that at some town hall meetings that they've had, and also meetings that they had at like Woodlawn Senior Center, this was brought up in terms of money that was set aside, voted by the state, the 85% criteria, and all the rest of it. In fact, these numbers, the income numbers that you gave, sound like the same numbers that they gave. So are you the ones they selected to implement it? Is that what it is?
I think this kind of came about with a conversation with Gane and myself. I really hadn't talked to any of the elected officials about this, but this was a program that Gane and I and a couple of the other committee members talked about and decided to kind of move forward on. It probably is the same program that they were talking about, because over the last couple of years, this pot of funds has grown. So I'm sure that it's exactly what what they were referencing in the meeting. So yeah, I'm just hopeful that like I said, we've been funded before with our weatherization program, and we've been very successful with spending those funds. So I'm hopeful that they will give us the opportunity with this program as well.
And of course, I'm very familiar with your program, having worked in the housing area a long time ago. I don't know if you remember that. I put on a whole bunch of housing conferences in
Yes.
Baltimore County. Um, Now, some of the housing opportunity days, like there was one that took place over in Dundalk recently, where
Yes.
the applicants, first-time home owners, go round robin. You know what I'm talking about, going from area to area to area, getting more and more information all on the same day, and then eventually they meet with some qualifying lenders that may
Yes.
be considered. When are we going to have that on this side of the county? Because I know it was held 2 months ago in the Dundalk area. Is there going to be one on this side of the county?
I'm hopeful that there is. The counseling agencies for Baltimore County, there was a meeting that was scheduled and it was canceled. So we're hopeful that something we'll be able to get something set up on this side of the county. Right now, most of the counseling agencies, we are like the only agency right now on the west side of Baltimore County. So we're carrying a heavy load, in all honesty. But that is something that was on the agenda for the housing counseling meeting. So hopefully once it's scheduled, we will get a day put together, because we used to do that all the time prior to COVID, and we just haven't done it. So yeah, that's something that we're looking at. Is something. One other thing that I did want to throw in, I mentioned the agency having weatherization money, and we actually were just awarded has so many numbers floating around in my head. We were just awarded actually over $600,000 from the Maryland Energy Administration for weatherization, for our weatherization program. This is This program, it is not a rehab program. We get a lot of people that get kind of confused about that. This is a program that is used to make your home more energy efficient.
Right.
We insulate, so we blow insulation into your attic. Over this past year alone, we have replaced, I think, over 40 furnaces as I was looking through the and as you all know, a furnace that's a expensive, item. This particular program is it's a free program. The income requirements are the exact same as the ones that I gave to you. So like I said, I tried to kind of stick with what seems to work for the state. So with the weatherization program, our funding round is getting ready to begin. I'm sorry, it's August, so we've started with the new funding round. But if anyone is interested or if anyone needs information, I can send you the information. And if anyone knows of anyone that needs it, we've had a lot of people that have come through with like no AC, so we've been able to help them to replace their AC units, and again, just make their home more energy efficient so that they're not paying as much in their utility bills. And that's the ultimate goal of the program, is just to make the home more energy efficient. But we are able to provide a lot of services, again, free of charge. So
This is Carla. I actually did a weatherization program in Prince George's County when I had a contract with them. And then when I was working in Baltimore City, we did a weatherization program, and they are very, very helpful. One of the things I would ask is either Gonay can give you the list of us, but because of all the various homeowners associations, I'm sure a lot of us have senior citizens, because that's where we found that helped the most, are those that are senior citizens in our community. And if there could be a flyer developed that talks about this for more information, especially around, because you don't know what people's income situation is, but just something that says you can get this, blah, 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 contact us. It's easy for us to get that information out via email. Aaron is in charge of a combined communities that hits a lot of them, but then we have other ones that aren't, part of that program. And I just think for this side of the county, that would be great to be able to get that message out, especially because you have to spend it in a certain time frame. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, so that would be perfect. We have a flyer. I have an application pack that I can send that email out tonight if need be. So we can definitely, we want to, get the word out about that program. And in all honesty, we really haven't had a true problem spending the funds. We've actually been very successful in that the state has also asked us to service Baltimore City. So it's and Prince George's County, believe it or not.
I know.
Because we've been able to really be successful, in the county. So it's
You have a couple of things in the chat for
and then I also have a couple of people with their hand raised. So we'll do Shirley, then we'll go to Grace, then we'll do Devon, we'll do Linda, and Amy Menzer also has her hand raised. So Shirley?
Mine is real quick. If you send me a flyer or anything like that, my email list is well over 1,200. You send it to me, get it from Gonay, and I will gladly send it out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Grace?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I'm a member at large, but I can tell you, I know several seniors in the Woodmore community that I know they would be overwhelmed to receive this information.
Okay.
Very nice. Devon?
Yeah, I was just the same, just to send the information to everyone, then we can get it all out.
And that would be for all your granting programs that would be available, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pull together. Then I'll do that as well. I mean, because we're starting to unfortunately see the foreclosure calls pick up, and a lot of people don't like to talk about that because that's it's personal. But we try to get the word out there, that we're here. Hey, give us a call. There may be something we could do. A lot of times people call and it's too late. It's past the I guess window of opportunity for us to help them. So yeah.
And then I have Linda.
No, I was going to say the MEEP program, which is the Maryland Energy Assistance Program, one of those that used to be one of my programs. does prioritize seniors. And if you don't need to have those kinds of repairs done to your home, you can also apply for just regular energy assistance through the LIGHT program. So the main thing is to get your applications in at this point in the year. In addition to having the list of homeowners sent to you, and then you sending information out, one of the things that I think a lot of organizations need to see is the calendar for applying for money. Because a lot of times you're finding out, just like you were saying, some of those applications are due July 1st or the end of June. So even though you're getting the information now, you have to remember this information for almost a whole year. So if people have the calendar for when the grant cycle begins, when they get back to you, and so forth, that's helpful to a lot of organizations.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then Danielle, do you have your hand raised, or that was from previous? And then I see Amy Menzer.
Thanks, Gane. I just wanted to suggest that the conversation you all have just been having, identifying where to get the word out and how to get the word out for the energy funds. You all can be planning for outreach for this new pot of funds for the homeowner loans, but since the money hasn't been awarded yet, it would be probably dicey to start talking to people about it because it may or may not happen, so to speak. Like, you want to kind of put it out there when you know. Does that make sense, Shavon? Or
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We definitely, but as soon as I hear, then Kanye, I'll come to you and let you know, and then we can get the word out. Again, I'm optimistic. I'm really hopeful that the state will fund this.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never know.
No,
what,
and I didn't mean to sound negative.
No,
I think just the brainstorming you guys were just doing about how to get it out.
Yeah.
You know, this group will be really helpful for
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So I was going to wrap up with that this program or the grant is a very competitive one for the entire state of Maryland. So while Shavon was very excited to apply for the properties inside of the Beltway. So this is going to be only for inside of the Beltway, the Bernie area. So anything outside, like, Central Liberty Road or West Liberty Road will not be eligible for this program. But once we get approval that we are awarded, and I am crossing fingers because this will be the first time here, I will let you know, and then we can start the process of spreading the word.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. So any other questions before we move on?
Well, besides saying the properties inside Beltway, are you also going to put an age on them? Because we have some new properties that are only like 5-10 years old that may not need these services as much as, say, people around the Woodmore Shopping Center area where they're living in homes that were built in the late 1940s. So that's what I'm saying. Rather than saying only people within the Beltway, how about only people within the Beltway and with houses of a certain age? Because there are brand new houses that have just recently been built.
A good point.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
we can-
Thank you. Thank you, Shavon. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you, Gane. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
All right. Next, we are going to talk about the subcommittee. So before we went on vacation in June, the last meeting, we had a task. So we have the members divided into subcommittees, and we have 3 subcommittees. We have one which is the environment, quality of life. We have economy, promotion, rebranding, and we have housing and transportation. So each of these subcommittees are being staffed by a lead member, and then we also have the who's going to be facilitating their subgroup meetings. So for environment and quality of life, Ms. Sheila Lewis is the lead, and then other members we have here is Aaron Plymouth, Sheila Supik, Danielle Smith, Michelle McCallum, and Linda Dorsey Walker. So I'll just go ahead and list the members first, and then we'll come back and talk about the task. The next subcommittee, the economy promotion and rebranding, Carla Nelson Chambers is the lead. And then we have as members India Addis, Sheila Lewis, Michelle McCallum, Cynthia Gilliam, and Grace Snowden. And then the last subcommittee, housing and transportation, Linda Dorsey Walker is the lead. And also we have India Addis, Danielle Smith, Devon Parks, and Marilyn Evans. So are there anyone here who's interested to participate in any of these subcommittees? And you are not, your name was not listed. Anyone? Okay, so.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Do the new people, do we pick a committee now or we wait?
You could pick a committee now, or if you want to learn more about it or hear, you know, what is being talked about at this meeting, and then email me your interest. Also, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we have the action plan for the sustainable community, and we were tasked to pick projects that you think fit better in your subcommittee. So have everybody had a chance to meet with the subcommittee? I know Carla was having a surgery and didn't get a chance to meet, but Linda Dorsey, did you?
No, I didn't have a chance to meet with my subcommittees because I was first trying to connect with the people at the state in the transportation department and also with the county in the transportation department. I met or had conversations with both of them for about an hour each. And now I'd like to find out from the subcommittee members when they would like us to meet, because both of them have said that they would like to meet with our subcommittee and bring a staff person with them. So.
Okay. Okay. And then
so
go ahead.
So if there are people who are on that subcommittee, housing and transportation, we started off, as I said, I was going to start off with transportation because I wanted to make sure that I was in the cycle for getting things done. And so is it possible for us to have a meeting this weekend, because they would like to meet relatively soon. And we talked about prioritizing some things for the Liberty Road or corridor, but I'd like to share it with you all first.
What day and what time are you looking at, Linda?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we could meet on Friday if you'd like.
What time?
Friday in the evening.
Miss Linda, I would suggest if I could give you the name and email address, maybe you can communicate by email and put something on the calendar.
Sure, I'll do that. But in the meanwhile, I want to finish typing up my copious notes because they both had a lot to share, so that I could, at our first meeting, be able to share what they gave, and then we can be an action committee.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, let me go back to environment and quality of life. Ms. Shirley?
Yes, we met, Sheila and I were the only two that showed up at the beginning of the meeting. Near the end of the meeting, Linda Dorsey Walker came. Michelle had sent in her report, and Sheila had compiled everything onto one sheet. After Linda Dorsey Walker got there.
I asked a question. It looks like I'm on this committee. I never received anything. When did you guys meet?
Last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
What I'm saying, did you send a email or something out to everyone? Because I never received anything.
Sheila Lewis did. I didn't, but Sheila Lewis did.
Okay, I'll go back and check because I would have been there. Thank you.
But anyway, Sheila Lewis compiled all that she had received up to that point, and then when Linda Dorsey Walker came, she gave us hers at that moment, and how we compiled it at that time was we took the numbers and tried to locate all of the ones that matched, and we wrote those down. Then we went through and found the higher number of each one. And we decided that if there were 3 twos and only one number of the other things, that the twos would win, and that's how we would compilate what was going on. Then Aaron sent his in to Sheila, and she finished. We gave her our permission to go ahead and use those numbers and complete it the way we had begun. And that is what she did. And so I have the results of those numbers. I also, there were areas where Sheila and we both kind of agreed on this, that in some of these issues, Gane, when you put them, you put an and in between and made 2 things instead of just one. And when it came to trying to figure out a time limit for those things, it was difficult because we weren't sure whether we wanted a time limit on the first one or the second one. And so we had to kind of try to figure out, in many cases, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those issues that made it a little more difficult. So in the future, when you word, try to make sure that you only put in one issue, not put an and in and add another issue on. And when when Sheila gets back, she can send it to you, or if I still have it in my emails, I can email it to you and show you what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, but feel free to break those into different issues.
Do you want the
different
numbers? Do you want the numbers?
Let me see, what are your projects in environment and quality of life?
Well, we did all of them. We did project 1, project 2, and project 3. We did them all. But you're talking about the examples?
Yes.
Oh, the examples were project 2. There were 2. You did continued development and implementation of anti-litter campaigns. See, there's 2 things there. Install signage on all county pitching cans to encourage proper trash disposal. And then project 2D, there were 2 issues. Post no littering sign throughout Liberty Road, enforce the litter law with fines. Who, what, how, do not want residents targeted. These are, it's a list of things, and I can send them to you. I think it would be better if you got them.
It would be better. Next time before the meeting, I would say maybe a week before the meeting, if you could just send me the list so that I get a chance to share it on the screen and everybody to see. But please send me the list. If is it typed, or it's typed, right?
Yeah, the issues are typed.
Okay.
You can see, and we have our printout sheet of our numbers ready to come to you.
The prioritization into short, medium, and long term.
Yes.
Okay. And I think Michelle has her hand raised.
Hi, Shirley, I just wondered, I mean, I wasn't able to make the meeting, but were there projects that stood out as high priority for everyone?
Yes, there were a couple. On project 1, to preserve additional parklands and provide additional strategies situated parks and recreational facilities, strategy C was a 3. On the quality of life portion, to ensure that citizens of all ages have access to quality recreational and leisure opportunities. Strategy C was a 3. On project 2 of quality of life, reduce crime and make community safer. Strategy C was a 3. And then on project 4, create a sense of place for Liberty Road CRDs, both strategy C and D were 3s. Those were the only 3s we had. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total.
Can you say what those 3s are? Because we don't have the
okay.
list up.
No, I don't have that other sheet on here. I don't.
I just sent it to you, Gone.
Okay, yeah, I'll share it. I'll share it with the whole group. But I think the exercise, the goal of this exercise was to have that initial meeting with your subgroups, identify the projects that that better fit in your subgroups, because everything that you just mentioned is what was identified as part of the action plan. So the action plan is what we want to pursue over the next 5 years. And the plan was approved in 2020. We are in 2022.
2020.
Right. So it was approved in 2020. So it kind of gave us a guidance on projects that the community would like to pursue in the next 5 years. So this initial meeting exercise of identifying those projects is one. And I think next meeting, what I was gonna task you was to come up with one project that you think is the most important, the most urgent, that we want to fund with the money that we have. And then if each committee come up with one project, then we're gonna have to vote on what project are we going to be funding with the rest of the money. And then whatever we don't fund, because we don't have the fund, we have to start looking for sources in the future.
Okay.
So yes, Michelle. You are muted.
I guess I'm not understanding. We have two different sets of projects that have multiple priorities that then have sub-menus. So you're saying one of what? One from each project?
One from each subcommittee.
But the subcommittees have two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're asking, there are about 25 to 30 different things, and you're asking us between two different, because we combined areas, right?
Yeah. We combined housing and transportation. They're not even related.
Well, quality of life and those are two different things. So that each of them have strategies that then have sub-strategies.
Right.
So you do want one from each of the major categories?
No, each from the major subcommittee, because we have $170,000 left. Out of the $170,000, we haven't finished the benches. I don't know how much the benches are gonna be. So let's say we remove money out of the benches, we have $100,000 left. What projects are we going to be funding with that money?
Okay, for example, I guess going back to what she just raised, when I spoke with the person from local government about what funding sources were available, she was talking about a huge amount of unspent infrastructure money in the transportation area that sort of as an after effect of COVID and some other things, and was talking about all this coming because of Pete Buttigieg and some of the high priorities he's being given. This is well more than $100,000, and it would be coming out of a separate pot of money. Should we not talk about that?
We will talk about that. And I think that's the reason why, as part of the exercise of choosing what project we are going to fund, we're going to talk about timeline, we're going to talk about the budget. If it's going to be over the $100,000, we need to find either other sources to complete the funding, or we have to find other grant to fund another project.
why is the funding so low? Because with such a small amount of money and so many things that need to be done, we're never going to make it even crimple into improving the corridor.
Well, see, the goal of this is to go and look for funding. So we had $250,000 that we started with, but we have to actually actively looking for funding in order to fund these projects. And at the end of the 5 years, if we have projects left, we just try to put it back into another plan when we renew the plan and keep looking for funding. So this is just for guidance.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Susanna.
Ms. Gonet, I'm trying to process what I think I'm hearing you say related to the assignment or expectations of each subcommittee, whether the subcommittees, for example, the one on which I'm a member, we're to look at environment and quality of life, and you're asking us to use the nominal group process, look at each of these, and from among all of these issues and projects, we have to choose one. Am I correct?
Right. So we choose one.
Funding.
At the end, we're going to come up with 3 projects because environment and quality has one project that is their priority right now. And then we go to economy, they have one project. We go to
Whatever the third subcommittee is. But what you're saying, though, is verifying and clarifying what I thought I heard you say.
Okay, all right, good. And then
Thank
out of the 3, then which ones are we going to be funding with the remaining money that we have? And then we actively are still looking for other sources to fund the rest of the projects.
So if we have other sources through the Department of Transportation, then we can say, here's a source, a large source of money through the Department of Transportation. Is that correct? Because right now, remember, one of the things we talked about is bringing the circulator loop to this side of the county, the same one that's over in Thompson, that's giving them all that free transportation that we don't have. And so now I find out that we're in competition with 5 other areas, but I reminded them that the priority was given to the Randallstown Owings Mill area to create a loop there, because we asked for it a long time ago, even before Towson did. So they want to know that there's a body of people that are going to work to make sure that we are the very next ones to get it. So it doesn't have anything to do with your $250,000, because there's a whole pot of money through the Department of Transportation to do it. But it's about us making sure that we are the very next ones, because we were promised we would be next, and how we would market it and things like that. So
yeah, I know DPWT has that in their plan, and I think are working on it. Okay, housing and transportation. Have you had a chance to meet?
no, I said we didn't. Remember I just said I went ahead and spoke with some of the people from the state and the local level,
Okay.
and then I wanted to just find out, type up some things, and then have the committee have a chance to decide when they want to meet and prioritize some of the stuff that they shared with me. And then they want to set up meetings to talk about improving things along Liberty Road, whether it be infrastructure, benches, trash cans, shelters, as well as local services through a loop.
All right, so far I only have environment and quality of life. So if I get the list, I'll share with the group. And then economy, Carla will set up a meeting with her team, as well as
Can you flip to
Linda.
the economy page, please, for me? And
Sure.
I've already emailed the team, so you all should have an email in your box as to when we can meet in the next 2 weeks. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, go back. Oh. When you say startup assistance, are you talking about startup for businesses?
These are just like type of projects under this committee.
I understand, but I'm asking, is that your definition of when you're asking for startup assistance?
Say that again.
Is your definition of startup assistance around starting a business?
Yeah, helping. Yeah, helping. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's on the start. Yeah.
All right, I wrote them all down.
Sure.
Thanks.
And it's going to be available online too.
I put in the chat. I can't find our committee on the website, on the county's website. I was trying to, maybe it's me, but I was trying all kind of ways. I couldn't find it. So.
Okay, I'll send you
I looked
the
under
link.
planning. I looked under the name of our committee. It was giving me everything else but what I wanted. So I don't know. Maybe it's me, the operator, but I couldn't locate it on the site.
I'll send you the link to it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so like I was saying, we have, after the trash cans, we have $170,000 left. We still have to determine the locations of the benches, but also we have to vote for another project that we think we can fund with the remaining of the money. And I see Amy Menzer just had something in the chat, but I'm not able to see the chat when I share my screen. So feel free to unmute Amy if you wanted to ask or comment on something.
Sorry, Gune, I just wanted to, I don't think anybody should be feeling any sense of despair or something over, oh my God, it's obviously the case that the corridor needs more than $250,000, right? So, but it's really meant to be a starting point for this group. And as you're organizing and pursuing projects with your subcommittees and spending the money, it will help demonstrate the need for more, and you will be organized and able to advocate for yourselves and be able to have more specific proposals to pursue. So anyway.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Yeah, so we have to still actively go ahead and look for money to fund so many projects that are needed on the corridor.
It occurs to me that some sections of these three groups actually lend themselves more to small projects than others. Like, for example, there's no such thing as a $150,000 transportation project. All of them cost way more than that. On the other hand, there's multiple things in environment, like the planters that we talked about, that would help improve the look of Liberty Road. That's a second project that would come out of the first committee. So when you said each subcommittee can only have one project, most of the smaller projects that only need a small amount of money might come out of one committee.
Yes, you're right. I mean, you're right that when we talk about, for example, transportation, it's always the big bucks because it takes more money and than the $170,000 that we have left. So, but at least it's a way to start from something and then look for other funding, like put it as part of the transportation letter, request letter that, hey, these are our priorities right now. If money becomes available, we would like to do a study for traffic congestion or do this or do that.
Right.
But yes, you're right. And we have to come up, that's why we have, once we select the ones that are priorities, by having into consideration this small amount of money that we have to look into timeline, we have to look into budget, what would be the best project to vote on in order to fund whatever we have left with the money. Yes, Michelle?
She's on mute. You're on mute.
I'm trying to make sweet potatoes. I don't know what time. So I'm sorry. Some of the things that are on the list are on our list are policy positions and implementing those policies through the government. They're not necessarily us purchasing something or getting I don't know. I'm thinking about educating people about codes or code enforcement or what that looks like, or revising the way the process works. Those are not things that were, those are Baltimore County's, this is Baltimore County's plan, right? It's Baltimore County's plan for how it's going to address certain things. So how do those kinds of issues that are about revising the way the county perceives the process and then reconstructing that, how do we interact with that? How do we interact with county officials who are responsible for it? And how does that fit into a funding process?
Right. So for those programs or like the promotions, it was put in there as a guidance. For you, it's not going to be a priority because, like you said, there is no money required in order to implement those policy. But if it requires to, I don't know, work with the committee, the business owners, maybe to maybe promote the CRD program, spread the word out there that we have, that would be something that you could help with. But those policy, like you said, we don't need money in order to do that, but it's just a guidance and it's just part of the plan. Just to make sure that we implement.
Couldn't we be a part of the, couldn't we be a part of the count of providing guidance or information or community input on how those plans might be revised? I mean, that to me is equal to all these other issues. If we're, if the county plans to put some of those things into action, I thought this committee was part of the process of collecting that information from the community in order to guide its policy process development.
Right. So just like when we worked on the design guidelines, that was also a recommendation in as part of the action plan. It's nothing that needs money, but when I did the design guidelines, I did invite the committee in order to get input. So the code enforcement, for example, revising the policy and all that would be coming from code enforcement. So when you look at the plan, you will see the agencies that are partnering in implementing this action plan. It's not just planning department, but it takes the whole county. So we are still in talk about revising those policies. And when that becomes kind of like priority, then yes, community input will be required. And that community input will be the subcommittee.
Couldn't we give that, couldn't we, that's a process we could work on now so that it's there at the ground level as you start looking at it and revising it?
Like what? Like, for example?
Like find out what people are saying, what they're thinking, and as before you create a process that is in not congruent with what people are asking for.
Yeah.
I mean, why make the policy and then get the input? Why not get the input and then make the policy?
I like that idea. I like the process. I mean, yeah, if this is a priority for the subcommittee and you wanna, suggest input, I can make sure that those input gets into the right hands.
That every president of a community association on this call would say that 70% of their conversations are about property, about trash, about not being able to control what happens in their community if they aren't in an HOA, and how that is affecting people wanting to stay in a neighborhood or making a decision to leave. I mean, we hear endlessly about code enforcement and trash. And so I think that one thing we can do without having to spend tons of money is actually making a code policy that reflects the needs.
Yes. So and if it's your priority, I can connect you with the code enforcement office so that we can work such a policy. So yeah, it's not always project that needs funding, but also if, like in this instance, if the subcommittee wants to make sure that my priority will be to work on a policy, I can connect you with that agency who is going to actually implement it.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on litter because the Liberty Road corridor, I have yet to see anybody go out there and clean out those trash cans. And the exit at 695 is absolutely deplorable.
Yeah, and I think we invited someone from solid waste management when we talk about the trash cans. And as part of us replacing the trash cans, making them, giving them more adequate capacity, we are kind of fighting that litter.
But I mean, it's beyond the trash cans. It's almost like we need to have 1,000 groups out there to adopt a part of the road just to keep it clean.
That
That's
could
what I'm
be also
talking about.
another.
Like, that's a policy for how we those are things that can use money or could use advertising or public, public using media in order to get people's attention or to create campaigns. But fundamentally, we don't have to vote on money to determine what things we find for those kinds of things that aren't about the funding as much as they are revising
Yeah.
a policy that was made for a less urban county.
Yeah.
Gane, I think
Yeah.
one of the things is that there is money involved in environmental and quality of life. When you talk about, you and I spoke about if trees are installed, that there should be plans put in place to take care of those trees, maintenance on them. That costs money. The trees themselves cost money. If we put up litter signs, those signs are going to cost money to put up litter signs. So it's not totally free of cash here that you're talking about. I do think that it is a good idea to talk to a group like code enforcement, because right now code enforcement is runs on community complaints. But I have always been an advocate that if a person from code enforcement is riding down the street and he sees trash accumulating on the side of the road, instead of just passing it because nobody's complained about it, that he should get out and he.
But Shirley, those
We
agencies
lost
have
you.
money. They have money to run their own offices, right? We don't have to provide them with money to do public outreach, to do education, to perform their agency tasks.
I'm not talking
Right.
about that. I'm talking about like the trees and the litter signs and things like that. There will be money that's needed for environmental and quality of life to a certain extent, just not a big amount that like you're talking about for benches and those kind of things.
But also code enforcement has issues in and of itself. A lot of the communities, yes, you tell them, oh, call, put your, complaint in the code enforcement if somebody's not cutting their grass or, has a bunch of junk around their house or whatever. But what happens is you go on their website, you have to submit your name and address, and people don't want to do that. They would rather have somebody else do that than put their information in there because it's a privacy issue. And that's why they don't complain as much to code enforcement, because they don't want their information shared. So it usually comes to me and I just put it in there. And code enforcement is supposed to keep this a secret or not, relay who reported them, but they do, because I've had that happen, not to me, but to the people in my community. So, that's an issue, another conversation.
But they do have to protect people on both ends. Like
Yeah.
there's a neighbor of mine that lives at a cul-de-sac. There's only so many houses on a cul-de-sac. The other three neighbors are constantly complaining about the other neighbor and how they park their cars, their vehicles, their boat, their this, their that. And they have a problem with that. And the person living at the house doesn't have a problem. Code enforcement for that kind of complaint requires three people, so it doesn't look like it's one person picking on a single person. So you need three people. So if you are willing to turn your name in, you still have to find two others willing to do it. But my issue with code enforcement overrides that. Right now, our code enforcement department has a serious lack of employees. And one of the things that I have asked Baltimore County schools to do is to develop a completer program and put it in at least one or two high schools so that kids enter right after high school with high paying jobs with benefits working for the county, a code enforcement completer program. We really do need that. It's specialized training. And if you've ever worked in environmental sanitarians, then you realize it is very specialized training. Everyone just talks about the trash, but it's so much more than that. It's toxins and water and noise pollution and a whole variety of things. It can have a very scientific bent to it, but you need to have the specialized training and also testing in those areas. And we should be growing those jobs that we need. More and more people are going to have a need for code enforcement. We know there's a shortage of those jobs. Baltimore County schools should be training our kids for high-paying jobs, and code enforcement is a very decent, long-paying job with good benefits.
All right, so it's almost 8 o'clock. So I just wanted to, get your thoughts about the next task. So I think what my focus is right now is how do we spend the money that was given to us? So we have this money, how do we spend it? Knowing that we have other issues, we have a list of projects that still needs to be funded. Some of them don't need funding, like Michelle said. Maybe we start working on revising some of these policies, connecting you with the right agencies to see how those policies can be changed, adopted in law, and implemented. For leader, maybe is it about that the subcommittee start organizing these cleanup days, some type of initiative that pushing other maybe part of the community to be part of. But how do we spend the rest of this money that we have? We have the benches. What other projects are we going to be funding? Knowing that it has to be small project that will make good impact on Liberty Road, like planters, like trying to, give corridor a sense of place, identity. And then for the big projects, trying to work with the state to get grant, work with the county to get grant in order to implement those. So what do you think about trying to come up for each committee, trying to come up with one project?
Well, when you say one project, like for example, what she was talking about litter, why can't we? I know there are agencies that are supposed to do it, but why can't we fund with some of the money a clean sweep effort where we literally hire a company or a couple of companies to be responsible for sections of Liberty Road and literally sweep through those machines, what do you call them? Same ones that they use for ice hockey, Zambonis. Well, they're street sweepers, but I think they're called Zamboni machine type things. But street sweepers to actually clean the street, to clean the highway and the side streets off of it. Can't we use some of the money for that and then before we just put planters up with beautiful plants, let's clean the street first and then put them up.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So I think I want to talk about how do we vote here. Since now it's a group and we are taking decisions. What would be the best way? What would be the procedure to vote? And I was asking, should we adopt the Robert's Rule of Order? And here again, we talk about motion. When we have an idea, we put it on the table, and we make a motion. So we'll have a second. We'll state the motion. We're going to have a debate. Then we talk about how to vote. We put the motion to a vote, and then we announce the results of the vote. So I wanted to see how would be the best procedure for voting. And then also because we may not have a lot of attendees all the time, we are just going to vote based on the number of people that are present at that meeting. And then we also say one person is one vote. So that's what I wanted to discuss. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a good idea.
For example, we're going to be voting soon on what project to fund. How do we make sure that everybody, we have a consensus? Do we adopt this?
Well, I
think
think
it's
it would
one
be
of
good. It would be best if you allow the other committees to meet. I think this is one suggestion. It might be the suggestion, but the other committees have not met, and for whatever reason, it just there might be something out there. And even with the benches, you're saying it's 170,000 left, but once who's to say the benches don't take the 170? We don't know. So it would be nice if we had several things to choose from. If we can, um, I like Robert's Rules of Order because you can never fail when you use that procedure system, but be able to have some other suggestions and whether we use in like by the end of the month or September. I don't know when our next meeting is, but and then so we can move forward with that. That's my suggestion. Now, well, there you go.
I agree with Carla, and I agree that we'll have all of our information together prior to the meeting so that we could do this and do the voting early on before individuals start dropping off, at least in the first 30 to 40 minutes of the meeting.
And we should get our suggestions into you, Gone, before the September 13th meeting so you can put that on the agenda, send it out to us, give us a chance to think about it. And that way, when we come and meet, we're ready to have the vote.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
September
prior,
13th is a Tuesday.
It is.
is it Tuesday,
Yeah,
September 13th?
because you're right. You're right, Shirley. And the 14th, because I'm out of town. I can meet, but I'll just be out of town.
I
Mhm.
won't.
Our clients
I have a meeting of my own on the 13th.
No,
No, it's
if it's
September.
Wednesday,
It's going to be
Wednesday's a better
September
night for
14th.
me.
So the
Wednesdays
next,
are better for me.
I'm sorry?
I said Wednesdays are always better for me. A lot of groups meet on Tuesday and Thursday.
No, it's going to be September 14th. This was a
Okay.
mistake.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Right,
we're
okay,
meeting
that's
on the
great.
second Wednesday
Okay.
of each month.
Okay.
Great, okay, great,
so
great.
I will either be in the air or out of town, but I will probably have a designee. It's probably going to be either India or Michelle because I know we talk a lot, but I'll make sure that we have our meeting. And one of the ladies or Grace, it'll be somebody that will be able to bring the information, what my vote is, but I might either be in the air or if I'm where I'm supposed to be, I'll still be there. So I just want to let everybody know that might be my issue, but I'm gonna have my vote.
Mhm.
Okay. So before the next meeting, each of the subcommittee will meet,
Mhm.
finish the task for today, and also come up with one project that they think is their priority for the rest of the money.
So at what point will all of us hear the project selected by each group, and can we have a chance to look at that prior to the meeting so that when the time comes up to make the vote, we know what we're voting on without hearing it at that point, unless you want a presentation, then a motion made and we follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay. Well, in that case, if maybe we say that you all send me the information at least a week prior to the meeting so that I have a chance to put it together, share with everybody, and I will share with everybody. Would 3 days suffice before the meeting?
That's fine.
Yeah, if you sent it out that Monday, yeah.
Okay. So I'll
In
share
that
with
way,
the group.
Carla, who will be in flight, can also vote. She can do another kind of vote. So that gives members who can't be present a chance to vote as well. But what you have laid out by way of our rules of order, that's the best way to do a motion, a debate, and then a vote.
So, Gone, what happens if a subcommittee, because of the nature of the subcommittee, cannot think of any 150,000 or 175,000 or less projects? Because, like I said, I can rattle off about 20 projects under that first subcommittee that could fall under that category, the one that Shirley reported on. On the other hand, like the person from MDOT said, one of the main things that's needed, and I brought it up at the last meeting, one of the main things that's needed along Liberty Road is what Ricestown already has, Glendon already has, a Main Street manager. Because I said, wait a minute, if you all are putting up all these trash cans for free and benches and all that, who alerts you when it needs to be changed or repaired or any of that, and who organizes, having to empty? She said, well, usually it's either the community groups taking turns being responsible, or it's done through the Main Street manager, which some areas of the county have and we don't.
The Main Street program is a state program,
Yes.
and we don't, because we haven't formed one. That's how Main Street's program works. That's through the.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
She was making a recommendation, and I had made the recommendation prior to that we need to have a Main Street manager, that we need to get serious about doing that rather than just talking about what other areas have that we don't have.
So there is some criteria in order to be designated as a Main Street.
Right.
And Liberty Road might not fit that criteria. And I can let Amy Menzer talk about it because she was the Main Street manager, well, not the Main Street manager, but she was in DRC and has a lot of experience in Main Street.
Is Amy still with us?
Amy?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know. Is Amy still with us?
I'm here. I'm just in my evening attire, so I'm off camera, if that's all right. The Main Street stuff, that's a complicated conversation, and I think I'd be happy to review it further with this entire committee at a later date, or like come to one of the subcommittee meetings and talk about it further. But I think there are some other things that are similar if it turns out that the specific Main Street program may not be the right fit, which I think we could still review. But the county has issued this RFP to create a community development organization that is still in process right now. So that's something that the county fully intends to fund. And so where there would be a person
right,
who could play that role.
Right.
The county also already does fund a position with the Liberty Randallstown Business Association. So that's already being funded, basically at a level that's I think identical to what the Main Street manager in Reisterstown is funded, for example.
But that has a more narrow focus than the Main Street manager in Reisterstown has. I mean, I think it would be good if you could come to, at some point, the Housing and Transportation Subcommittee and discuss the differences as you see them. But I think we need to look at, not repeating past history and moving on to something that's new if we're going to make a permanent new change.
Sure. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I'd be happy to meet and get a more of a sense of what you all want, and also try to share my experience, and we can help figure it out. So
Michelle? Amy, while you're there, everybody's asking you for the Leadership Summit information.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In the chat.
So thank you for pointing that out to me, because I hadn't seen that. Gane, do you remember what date it is in September?
I think
first, where do you find it? That's what everyone's asking. You mentioned it.
Got
So
it.
people want to know where to find it.
I don't think it's out there yet, but
my mistake.
Yeah, there will be. They have spread the word, and
it's on the 19th.
I have seen Shirley send out the save the date. So right now it's a save the date. It's
August
the 19th,
19th
but
or
September 19th.
September 19th. It's a one-day summit where each
8 o'clock in the morning till 4.
Right. Each
Shirley,
association.
So is that a Monday or is it meant to be September 17th, which is a Saturday?
No, it's meant to be the 19th.
Okay.
So each association will have 2 tickets. So you can bring 2 per community association, and you get to. They will be broken down by sessions where you have the opportunity to learn more about county resources.
Yeah,
But
please send that information out.
yes, for now it's just save the date. I don't think it's out there yet.
Yeah, sorry if I jumped the gun on that one. That this is not a planning department initiative, so we actually, we don't have all the details ourselves yet, I don't think so.
The next bit of
Can you
information that
ask
comes
about the
out-
CDC, because you mentioned it, I mentioned it now, what the CDC?
That's something I've mentioned on previous meetings of this group. It's in process, meaning there have been bids received and they're being reviewed.
Can you
So,
say what it is? People don't know what it is.
sorry, thank you, sorry. So the idea that the county has is they want to create a community development organization. The RFP is to hire a consultant to work with the community to create this community development organization, which is supposed to be focused on what the county calls the central node along Liberty Road. So the thought is that trying to cover the entirety of Liberty Road would be too much of an area for the CDC, certainly to start out with. And so the idea is to focus on that central node where you've got the hospital, you've got the library, you have other resources there, strengths to build upon. That's the idea.
What does the CDC do?
Okay, so a community development organization, CDC means corporation, and oftentimes people try to avoid that word today because people don't, corporation, what? It's a nonprofit. They can do a range of things. A CDC can run, youth employment programs. It can run housing counseling programs. It can run housing rehab programs. It can do Main Street programs or, commercial redevelopment programs. So it could be doing workforce development. So it could be doing a range of things. And I think part of what the consultant will be doing is working with the community to help prioritize what the focus of that organization should be for the first 3 years of its existence.
Okay.
And but we definitely put it out there that the community has a strong desire to see change and improvements along the Liberty Road corridor and sort of the commercial, the businesses, the appearance on the corridor, et cetera. But it's, it's what they do will be pending further community input on that.
All right. So my question is, you all came up with an RFP process, solicited bids, have interviewed candidates, and you didn't involve the community that's going to be the community of focus for the CDC?
We haven't interviewed any of the candidates yet, but I don't know how the county designed its process, but I understand your question, and I don't know how to answer it.
Should the community have some input into who this person is going to be?
I will take that back to my boss, because I hear you. So, with the way the county's bid process is, I don't know legally or otherwise how that input, I don't know how that works, but I will take that question back to my boss.
It's a very good question.
Yes, I hear the question. I get it. So.
Okay, any other questions?
On that note.
And Ganae, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, this is Kaylin Thomas. I just want to let you know that I do want to join the committee that deals with bringing in businesses. I can't remember the name of that committee.
That's me. It's Carla. Thank you, Kaylin.
Oh, great, great. So what do I do? How do I get on your email list?
Just send me, can you put your email in the chat and I'll add you right now.
Okay.
That was easy.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I would just ask, when you meet with your subcommittee, can you please send me a summary of what you guys have decided? And then a week prior to the meeting, I need to have those reports back so that I can put it together, and I promise to send it out to everybody 3 days prior to the meeting so that they can think about how to vote on if there will be a voting day. And next meeting, we'll discuss one project we want to pick to fund the rest of the money.
So you need those reports by September 7th, since you're going to meet on September 14th, correct?
Right. September 14th is the meeting date.
That's September 7th.
Okay.
When you expect the reports in writing.
Right after the holiday. Thanks, Aaron. Okay.
Okay.
It's my birthday too, Linda.
All right. And
My birthday too, September 7th.
I'll send all this in an email.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think this was good. Thank you very much for attending, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Everybody.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
My group, you all an email to my group. Everybody's got an email. Please respond. Thanks, Grace.
Yes.
Did you see mine? Did you see for Kaylin?
Yes.